They never told you this, but the world is not pushing against you. It's only showing you the shape of your own mind. Every conflict, every delay, every closed door is not a punishment, it's a reflection. The Shaolin path does not teach us to conquer the world. It teaches us to understand it. And once you understand it, it begins to move differently around you. I am Shi Heng Yi, and in this video, I will guide you through ancient principles that few ever learn, not from books, but from deep practice inside the monastery walls. These are not tips, not quick fixes. They are the hidden gears of spiritual reality, thought patterns that were once used by warrior monks to walk through chaos without being touched by it. Techniques that allow the mind to stay still, even while the world shifts. You will learn how to stop fighting resistance and start working with it. Why discipline of the body leads to freedom of the mind, and how the energy you carry, silent, invisible, can shape the way others respond to you without a word spoken. These teachings are subtle, quiet, but when practiced, they bend the world like wind bends the grass. Stay with me until the end, because once you begin to think like this, nothing around you will stay the same. Your reality will no longer be a cage. It will become a mirror, and you will choose what it reflects. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If you walk this path with discipline and clarity, it will change your life. Subscribe now and step into the teachings the world forgot. Most people go through life like a clenched fist, always ready to strike, defend, or grasp. But the Shaolin way teaches the true mind is not a fist, it is a mirror. A mirror does not attack, it does not chase, it simply reflects with complete clarity without distortion. When your mind is clouded by fear, anger, or craving, what you see in the world becomes warped. You react, and the world reacts back. Tension meets tension, resistance meets resistance. But if the mind becomes still, not empty, but calm, then the world begins to soften around you, because the world is not responding to your words, it is responding to your state. In Shaolin, we do not train to control others. We train to see clearly, because when perception is sharp, even small actions become powerful. You do not waste energy, you do not waste time, you move with purpose, you speak with presence. This is not dominance, it is alignment. Think of water. When it is still, it reflects the moon. But when it is stirred, the image breaks. The same is true for the mind. A reactive mind shatters insight, but a reflective mind reveals it. So ask yourself, what are you reflecting today? Chaos, fear, control, or silence, strength and awareness? The one who learns to hold their mind like a mirror, undisturbed by praise or blame, victory or loss, becomes unshakable, not because the world changed, but because the lens through which they see it became clean. This is why we do not seek to bend the world with force. We train until we no longer need to. The mirror of the mind, when polished, bends the world by simply reflecting it as it is with absolute clarity. Power that is loud is often fragile. It needs to be heard, seen, acknowledged, or it begins to fade. But there is another kind of power. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply is. And when it enters a room, the energy shifts, not because it forces attention, but because it carries stillness. In the Shaolin tradition, stillness is not weakness, it is mastery. The warrior who has trained his breath, his emotions, his thoughts, he no longer needs to prove anything. His presence speaks louder than his words ever could. This stillness is not the absence of action, but the foundation of right action. To be calm while the world is noisy, that is discipline. To remain unmoved while others react, that is strength. The mind trained in stillness does not chase influence, it becomes influence. There's a reason the mountain is respected. It does not move, it does not compete, it simply stands unshaken by storms or seasons. Those who walk near it feel its quiet authority. In our modern world, power is often mistaken for control. But true power is not control, it is clarity. It does not come from overpowering others, but from mastering the self. The one who is still sees more, hears more, understands more, and from that understanding they act with precision. Influence is not about being louder, it is about being deeper. When your energy is settled, others sense it. They lean in, they listen, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. The quieter the mind becomes, the stronger the presence it emits. This is how the Shaolin path creates invisible leaders, not through force, but through inner silence that commands respect without asking for it. The arrow flies truest when the archer's mind is steady, not obsessed with the target, but aligned with the motion. In Shaolin teaching, this is the essence of intention without attachment. You act with full presence, full commitment, and then let go. This is not passivity, it is precision, a disciplined energy that moves from clarity, not craving. When your actions are soaked in desperation, the world feels it and resists. But when you release the need to control the outcome, something subtle begins to shift. Events align, doors open, life flows more freely, not because you forced it, but because you stopped blocking it with fear. The masters teach, your responsibility ends with the effort, not the result. Train fully, speak truthfully, move deliberately, but do not grasp at reward. Clinging clouds perception. Fear of failure poisons the purity of your action. A farmer does not dig up the seed every day to check if it is growing. He waters it, tends it, then waits, trusting the unseen process. The same is true for the inner life. Attached to the practice, not the praise. Attached to the direction, not the destination. When intention is clear and ego is quiet, the world begins to reflect a new pattern. It responds to energy that is stable, not scattered, committed, but not controlling. That is where synchronicity lives, in the space between effort and surrender. This is how the Shaolin walked through uncertainty, not chasing results, not fearing delays, but stepping with calm intensity, again and again, whether seen or unseen, because they are not working to bend the world with force, they are aligning with a rhythm deeper than outcomes, and the world in time responds. The path is never without stones, but in Shaolin wisdom, these stones are not placed to stop you, they are placed to shape you. Resistance is not the enemy, it is the instructor the world sends when you are ready for the next level of growth. Most people meet challenge with tension. They tighten the body, narrow the mind, and resist with frustration. But what you resist persists. The more you fight the lesson, the longer it stays. Yet the moment you pause, breathe, and ask, what is this here to teach me? The energy begins to shift. Obstacles are mirrors. They reflect your inner state, your patterns, your fears, your limits. And in that reflection, they offer a rare opportunity to evolve. Pain becomes a portal when seen with presence, not something to escape from, but something to step through. Every wound carries wisdom, but only for the one willing to sit with it, to feel it fully, to let it speak without turning away. In Shaolin practice, we are taught to enter the difficulty, not avoid it, to train longer when the body aches, to sit still when the mind protests, not because suffering is holy, but because beyond the resistance is transformation. Discomfort signals growth, like the pressure that shapes the sword, or the fire that purifies gold. Resistance is a force that refines, if you meet it with awareness. So the next time life pushes back, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, ask, what is this awakening in me? That single shift in perception turns adversity into guidance and struggle into strength. This is how the wise grow, not in ease but in encounter. Not by avoiding resistance, but by learning from it and walking forward with deeper clarity. The body is the first temple. Before the mind can be mastered, the body must be trained. In Shaolin, this is not symbolic, it is foundational. Breath, stance, posture, every movement becomes a form of meditation, because the body is the anchor of awareness. A restless body creates a restless mind. Slouched shoulders, shallow breath, scattered limbs, these are not just physical habits. They are reflections of an undisciplined inner world. But when the body is aligned, grounded, steady, present, the mind begins to mirror that order. Discipline of the body is not for strength alone, it is for stillness. Each repetition, each form, each step in the practice brings the wandering mind back into the moment. The heartbeat slows, the thoughts clear, and in that stillness you begin to sense something deeper, not effort, but presence. In ancient teachings, the body was never seen as separate from spirit. The way you walk, breathe, sit, and carry yourself sends a message to the world and to your own consciousness. Are you collapsing under your thoughts or standing in alignment with them? Training the body is an act of respect, not just for health, but for clarity. It teaches you to hold discomfort without panic, to stay rooted in chaos, to become calm inside movement, and eventually still even in conflict. A warrior does not wait for the battle to find balance, he builds it into his bones. When your body is no longer a distraction, it becomes a gateway, a tool, a vessel for grounded awareness. And when that alignment is felt, not forced, the world begins to respond. not to your effort, but to your presence. Where your attention goes, your life follows. In the way of the Shaolin, attention is not passive, it is not scattered or casual. It is sharp, like a sword drawn only with purpose. What you focus on becomes your reality, and what you ignore slowly fades. Most people allow their attention to be pulled in 100 directions by noise, by fear, by endless distraction. Their minds are not their own. Their energy leaks. But those who train in awareness know your attention is your power. When it is wasted, your life becomes chaotic. When it is directed, your life becomes aligned. To focus is to choose, and to choose is to honor what matters most. A clear mind is not one that knows everything. It is one that knows what to look at and what to let go. In Shaolin discipline, a single movement is practiced thousands of times, not for perfection, but for presence. This level of attention builds stillness inside action, precision inside chaos, and slowly the world begins to bend, not because the outside changed, but because your awareness shaped it. Attention is not only about effort, it is also about silence. To truly see, you must stop reacting. To truly hear, you must stop speaking. Your focus becomes a blade, not to cut others, but to cut through illusion, through noise, through doubt. You don't need to control everything around you. You only need to control where you place your gaze. And from that one choice, clarity grows, direction strengthens, and life begins to mirror the depth of your inner seeing. This is how the masters walk, not faster than others, but with deeper focus, every step intentional, every breath aligned, every thought chosen, not chased. The need to be right is a heavy burden. It sharpens the tongue, narrows the mind, and blinds the heart. In the Shaolin way, victory is not measured by who speaks last, but by who listens deepest. The ego craves to win, to be seen, to be correct, but wisdom asks something else: to understand. When the mind is always preparing its next defense, it cannot receive truth. It becomes closed, rigid, fragile. But when you release the desire to dominate, you make space for a different kind of knowing, one that is not born from argument, but from awareness. To let go of being right does not mean surrendering your principles. It means opening your perception. It means realizing that clarity does not come from proving others wrong, but from seeing more fully, even what contradicts you, especially what contradicts you. True strength is quiet. It does not need applause. It does not fear being questioned. The one who stands firm within does not shake when others disagree. They observe, they learn, they adapt without losing themselves. In ancient disciplines, the highest masters often spoke the least, not because they had less to say, but because they knew the value of silence. They did not argue, they revealed. They did not overpower, they invited reflection. When you give up the battle to be right, you win something greater: peace, insight, connection. You begin to notice what lies beneath the surface of conflict, the hurt, the fear, the misunderstanding. And from that place, your words begin to heal instead of harm. This is not weakness, it is inner freedom. And the one who walks this path discovers that understanding holds far more power than control ever could. Hesitation weakens action, but so does haste. In the teachings of old, true power is found between the two, in the space where movement rises from clarity, not confusion. A trained mind does not rush, and it does not stall. It waits and then moves like thunder. The disciplined spirit listens first, to the breath, to the moment, to the silence within. From that stillness, action is born, not out of reaction or fear, but from alignment. And when action is aligned, even the smallest step carries force. To act without hesitation is not to act recklessly. It is to trust your preparation. The archer who knows his bow does not second guess. The swordsman who has trained for years does not flinch. When clarity is present, delay becomes unnecessary. And yet, when it is time to speak, the wise choose their words as carefully as a monk prepares tea, not to impress, but to express only what is needed. Noise is cheap, silence carries weight. When you speak less, your words begin to land deeper. The world is full of scattered energy, rushing minds, endless talk, half-finished parts. But when one person moves with clean intent, they stand out without effort. Their presence says more than their voice ever could. This is the quiet confidence of the trained soul, one who does not chase attention, but earns it through precision. Action, when clear, becomes magnetic. Speech, when timed, becomes memorable. Discipline sharpens decision. Stillness refines speech. Together, they shape a way of being that influences without trying, not through volume, but through focused presence. The world responds not to speed, but to certainty, not to how much you say, but to how much truth lives inside what you do say. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of depth. In Shaolin tradition, silence is not something you fall into. It is something you train for. It is a space the undisciplined mind cannot reach, but the still mind calls home. Where opinion multiplies, wisdom fades. The louder the world becomes, the more precious silence is. Not just the silence outside, but the silence within. That inner stillness where thoughts no longer chase each other and the self no longer seeks to prove anything. Silence is not weakness, it is mastery. The one who does not rush to speak, who does not need to fill every space with opinion, carries a different kind of weight. They are not empty, they are grounded, centered, listening. The mind, when constantly expressing, forgets how to receive, but when you choose silence, the mind begins to reset. It starts to sense what lies beneath words. It hears the tone behind the speech, the truth behind the noise. This is how presence is formed, not in the desire to be heard, but in the discipline to hear. In sacred disciplines, silence is not retreat, it is engagement without interference. It allows space for truth to emerge on its own. You don't always need to speak to lead. Sometimes the most powerful thing in the room is the one who says nothing, yet sees everything. The less you speak out of impulse, the more power your voice holds when it finally does emerge. And often, the moment passes without need for a single word. Silence is not passive. It is chosen, practiced, honored. And those who live close to it discover a rare force, a kind of influence that does not push but gently pulls all things into stillness. Walk like you belong, not out of pride, but because your spirit is aligned with what is true. In the way of inner mastery, the world is not something to conquer. It is something to harmonize with, and when your energy is clear, when your presence is rooted, the world begins to meet you where you are. There is a still power in one who does not seek approval, who does not wait for permission to be whole. They do not grasp for the future, they do not lean into the past. They move from a quiet certainty, a sense that what is needed will come because they are prepared to receive it. To live as if the world is already yours is not to take, it is to radiate. To speak not for validation, but from knowing. To step forward not because the path is easy, but because you carry your own direction within. The ancient way teaches the universe does not respond to force, it responds to frequency. You cannot force harmony, you become it. And when your inner state is grounded, steady and sincere, reality begins to shift without resistance. Others feel it before they understand it. They move aside. They listen more closely, not because you demand respect, but because you are no longer separate from what you seek. You carry the energy of arrival. This is not fantasy. It is discipline. It is the result of walking the path without wavering, of embodying the teaching so deeply that you no longer need to reach. Everything begins to meet you halfway. When you move in this way, not above the world, not beneath it, but with it, there is no need to bend anything. The world simply flows around you like water around the mountain. The world does not respond to force. It responds to presence. When the mind is still, the body disciplined, and the heart free from craving, life begins to move with you, not against you. This is not a secret. It is a practice, a path, a way of being that begins inside and ripples outward. If you wish to influence the world, begin by mastering your own inner state. Train your attention, calm your breath, let your words be few and your actions clean. Walk not with urgency, but with quiet certainty. And with time, the world will begin to reflect the peace you carry within. This is the essence of the teaching. Change your relationship with yourself, and the world will meet you in a new way. Let today be your first step, not with force, but with awareness. If these teachings spoke to you, support this path by liking the video and subscribing to our channel, Shaolin Soulfire. Walk with us and continue to awaken the power already waiting inside you.